Hi everyone. I wanted to quickly introduce the next segment of this. As I'm editing it, I realized just doing a video would be best. And I'm going to be sharing an episode of a podcast that I've been recording behind the scenes that I've in the process of figuring out the pieces to launch, but it's in the works. So I hope you enjoy this episode of the podcast, and this will be my art share for the day. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. At the same time as recording this, I'm also recording a video, so it might be a little bit different. And for this video, I'm recording it because I'm committed to a 30 days of vlogging challenge for myself. So every day I have to post a video of some sort on YouTube, basically. And the last couple of days, they've been like really short, 5 minutes, but even that is sticking with the commitment and fulfilling it. And so I had the idea maybe today I would, while recording my podcast, also record a video and then share with YouTube like a snippet of what is available within the podcast I'll be launching soon. So in today's podcast, I'm going to be sharing about a concept that came up for me today, and I was like, that's a really important piece of the puzzle when it comes to living a life that is aligned with your soul's purpose and also with the sensation of bliss and allowing that to be part of your life. And it is self-acceptance. And I think this is such a key piece for so many things when we're interacting with other people. And for myself, this has been something that I've had the opportunity to learn a lot about. I believe that all of us come to Earth with different things and challenges that we almost like sign up for to experience and learn more about and grow through. And then we become almost like masters in it because it started out with a significant challenge. And so it can start with like a story that begins from, childhood, that then develops and evolves through all your relationships or experiences. And it's a story that's self-fulfilling, and an experience that's self-fulfilling until you learn that you have the power to end that cycle and you can create a new story for yourself. And self-acceptance is interesting because I feel like you're never truly going to be accepted by someone else because we're all unique people. We all have we're all human. We're all working to accept ourselves to begin with. So like if you ever feel not really accepted by someone or, welcomed, your true, quirky, whatever makes you feel a little odd or different person, like that not being accepted or not, it's not really a reflection of you. It's more just a reflection of the fact that we're all different people. And the most important person to be accepted by is yourself. Because, it's similar to love and how being loved by someone else is like, it's like, I don't know if futile is the word, but it's like, it doesn't have a solid foundation because it's outside of you. Everything that you want to experience and feel with someone else, it's important to feel it with yourself first because that's how we create our life, is from the inside out. And so for me growing up, I felt a little bit more on the outside of my family. Like I really didn't connect with them. I felt really shy to be myself with them because I was afraid of not being accepted or like loved or embraced or celebrated for my uniqueness. And then that continued also through like school. I was also part of a religion growing up that was very different and unique, and that part also helped to like solidify this idea that I was different than others and maybe wouldn't be like welcomed into the circle or the social hierarchy. It's like your survival mode to be accepted in that, especially in high school and middle school. And that continues, like the clique vibe can totally be triggering for this this experience that people have and I've had with being accepted by, you know, the popular people or the people that seem to have what it is that you want. But it's really just a false narrative, and it's just an illusion. Like, your survival is not dependent anymore about being part of a group. It's we're just in a different time. But you know, that idea is still kind of in our system, because a long time ago it was important that you were accepted and welcomed into the community for survival. And being on your own in the wilderness is not really super sustainable, I can imagine. Although I don't know what it was truly like back then, but just saying, like, some of the things that we're facing is actually super old and coming from this very like caveman type place, you know, like that level of where we come from is still can linger in our thoughts and our mindset. And so the other thing about accepting yourself is, like, when it comes to family, and it can be such an easy way to block yourself from being with family, because everyone has their own opinion. They all feel certain ways. They easily can be triggered by your way of, you know, being or making your life, because maybe they want it too, but they don't believe it can be possible. Like, there's so much almost like bullshit going around that is, it's just the fact that we're all individual humans going through the same experience. And once I like remind myself of that, when I have moments of feeling like a bit of that trigger to that old wound of, you know, the odd girl out, or like feeling like I have to explain myself to people or they won't really understand me, or just all these things, that reminds me that we're all human, is that actually we can connect with each other through our hearts, and the fact that we're all experiencing similar things, just in different ways. And it helps me to have more compassion to myself and to others. And I think the more you, well, no, I don't think, I know, because I'm experiencing it now, like, the last few years have really been about practicing loving myself and accepting myself, rather than wanting to get that confirmation from outside of me. And also embracing who I am, so that I can live that soul-aligned path, because the more I fight it, the less happy I'll be. And things like how I operate or my natural cycles, even that in itself was something that I was really fighting myself about, and like being hard on myself rather than accepting it and embracing it. And then the other thing is, you can find out where you are being like not fully accepting yourself when you're triggered by someone else's behavior or something they say. And it can be a reflection to see, okay, what is this reflection showing to me? Because clearly I'm bothered by it. And sometimes it can be that the reflection is showing that there's some aspect of that behavior or way of saying things that actually I'm doing as well, but maybe not as aware of, because, you know, you're not always aware of those things, like the thoughts you have that are really quiet, but when someone else says it, it seems really loud and annoying. So those are ways you can reflect on where in your life or what aspects of yourself you've been holding back from loving and embracing, and just being like, okay, like, I think self-acceptance is a great place to start, especially if you're like at a rock bottom or starting over with something, is like, how can I be more honest with myself and the things that are me, and the things that I know I'm doing is possible. I've regularly had the like shyness around the fact that I'm creating a life that's my wildest dreams, and figuring out, like, being nervous to explain that to someone, or whether they would accept me for being, you know, especially as someone who is really connected with energy and spirituality and likes to talk about that stuff and wellness and meditation, things like that. Like sometimes you'll encounter people who are really bothered by it because, I don't know, maybe they think that they've been taught that that stuff is silly, and in reality it's really important. But having that self-acceptance is like a really great way to create that like armor almost, and not an armor that separates you from people, but an armor that their words and their reactions to your presence is not going to actually change how you feel about yourself. And I definitely felt a bit of an opportunity to realize that that's still something that I do when I'm around certain people. Like I can still find myself questioning myself or getting a little smaller because I'm noticing someone else's reactions may appear negative, even though I don't really know what's going on for them. I have no idea what's going on for them. So there's also this self-acceptance is tied in very closely with people-pleasing. So I think those are definitely hand in hand. So if you experience something where someone doesn't seem as like positive and happy and pleased and like agreeable to everything you say, then we get a little bit like, oh no, what should I do? Like, survival mentality. And that's definitely something I felt this past weekend when I was with family. Like there were moments, and I knew that I might have those moments going into it. And I'm proud of myself because I felt so much more confident and comfortable in my body and in myself than ever before when I was with my family. And I think that's a huge thing. Like before the gathering, I was definitely getting anxious and starting to become more upset in my head and creating scenarios where I would be like triggered and angry or something like that, and upset about the differences in how we all are. Each person is so different. And maybe the experience of having someone tell me that I'm wrong and that, like they think that what I'm saying is, or what I believe is wrong. And everyone has the right to their own beliefs. I think that's the important thing that I'm learning, is just really focusing in on myself first instead of other people, and trying to like assess whether I've been, like given a star or not. It's pretty elementary stuff that we're going through, but it comes from childhood and it gets set in place in your mind and your subconscious until you start like looking at it. So like working through these things are actually quite deep. Like the process of connecting with your bliss and your soul path is not actually easy. Like it sounds nice, but it takes work, and it takes like dedication and honesty with yourself and some difficult emotions and processes. And there was one other thing I wanted to share about self-acceptance, and it is about having it be part of how you can truly connect with your prosperity. Like a prosperity that's beyond the physical. Like it's the physical, but that's just a representation of the prosperity within, and that really loving connection you have with yourself, your inner knowing of who you are, and what that means for you. If it's a feeling, for me, when I say I know who I am, or like who I am, it's like a feeling of knowingness of my worthiness that's never in question about whether I do something right or wrong, and the knowingness that I'm more than just, like I'm a human, but we're connected to something so much greater than us. And I have my own spirit team, and I have my own higher self that I connect with, and I get to create my life here in the physical through that connection and through my connection to the earth. So that's what I mean, like really coming back to standing into your power is the knowingness of who you are. The best thing about working through these wounds and these triggers and these challenges is that you can become closer to other people and less isolated from yourself. And it's really important to really love yourself wholly and entirely, because from that place you can experience a world that's much more light and joyful and happy and detached from the outcome and comfortable with the unknown and so many different things. Yeah, especially if you're someone who feels like you're odd or different from your wherever you grew up and whatever that means for you. It could even be as simple as maybe your family, like no one ever went to college, but you feel that drive and you know it's for you, like academics. But maybe you get like a negative response from a family member, and maybe it's just their own wounds showing up and coming out. So through that process, coming back to giving yourself moments, even if it's just like a second in the bathroom or like a short walk with yourself, to really remind yourself that that's just a reflection of something to process within yourself, but also it could be just them projecting their own wounds onto you and their own jealousy. And then coming back to loving compassion is what I would suggest for those moments, that we're all human, we're all going through things. We all have stories that limit us, and we all have things that we desire deeply that some of us believe we can have and some of us don't. And there's always going to be a belief that at first I don't, or there's always going to be a desire that at first I don't believe I can have. It's a very normal thing. So that's the podcast for today, sharing about self-acceptance. And I think I'm excited to see how I continue to like observe that's what it was. Okay, this is what I wanted to share. Observing your reactions when you are feeling insecure in a social space. So like observing how your energy changes, or how your behavior might change, or how your thought patterns might change if you all of a sudden feel a little bit insecure about whether someone is accepting you or like embracing you or not, or whether they are like, happy or pleased, you know what I mean, like the people pleasing part. So just notice those reactions and then just be gentle with yourself and process it, and then come back to your power and knowing that the most important person to be feeling accepted by is yourself. And that always brings me back to feeling good and balanced. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching the video, thank you for watching the video. If you're interested to see these vlogs for the people listening to the podcast, it's all on YouTube. So my username is Erica, ERIKA, Julia_creative, and I'll have a playlist for that. For those of you watching the video who want to listen to the podcast, it's like still in the works, but leave a comment below if you're interested, and I'll keep note of that. And when I have more information about how to listen, I will share it with you. All right. Love you. Bye.